Zoro become the best swordsmen versus Mihawk and Shiliew. So I know there's a lot of debate going on whether or not Zoro is going to be facing off against Mihawk or Shiliew in order to obtain the title of world's strongest swordsman. I, among other people, feel that it is going to be Shiliew, while the majority of the fans are adamant that it is going to be Mihawk. The major point in being is that a lot of people feel that is not capable of defeating Mihawk and obtaining the title of world's strongest swordsman. Before I get into my theory of Shiliew's new power-up, I'd like to express my reasons as to why Mihawk doesn't make a suitable last opponent for Zoro. To me, I feel that Mihawk is to Zoro what Shanks is to Luffy. Shanks and Mihawk are both the goal and driving force behind Luffy and Zoro. These are the two men who they must surpass in order to achieve their dreams. These men are the very reason Luffy and Zoro began their quests in the first place. In the case of Zoro and Mihawk though, in the beginning it could have been anybody. Zoro just wanted the title of the world's strongest swordsman, which just so happened to belong to Mihawk. That all changed though with their first encounter at Bar 80. Mihawk acknowledged Zoro for his courage, just like Shanks had acknowledged Luffy in the past. Skip to 1 year later, and now we have Mihawk once again acknowledging Zoro, but this time it's for Zoro's willingness to discard his pride and ask the man who he wishes to surpass for his help, all for the sake of his captain. Now we have a master-slash-student relationship developing with Mihawk and Zoro. A battle between these two at this point is starting to feel more and more like a duel, and not some huge epic fight to the death for the title of world's strongest swordsman. Finally, nobody hates Mihawk. He's not the type of character. He's not evil, or notorious for hurting people. He's quiet, he keeps to himself, and he only takes action to relieve his boredom. The hype between the Zoro and Mihawk matchup ends with a duel to see who's the strongest, that's it. With the relationship that has developed between Mihawk and Zoro, it sets up the perfect matchup between Zoro and someone who actually defeats and kills Mihawk. Now not only has the person killed Zoro's goal, they've also killed the man who he calls master, and has taken the title Zoro has dreamed of his whole life. That's way more of a hype, and build up for an epic final battle, rather than, I beat you, I'm the best now, roll credits. Now on to Shiliew versus Mihawk. People seem to underestimate Shiliew, and believe that it's impossible for him to defeat Mihawk. But let's look at the facts. He was the Vice Warden of Impel Down, considered to be just as strong as Magellan. He was considered to be so vicious and ruthless that he was locked in his own cell on level 6 in Impel Down, a place where only the most dangerous and strongest characters are placed. Does this warrant him strong enough to take down Mihawk? No, it doesn't, single quote, but here is where the theory really kicks off. During the events of Marineford, we get to see one epic scene between the world's strongest swordsmen versus Diamond. It's brief, but it left me wanting to see more of a swordsman's versus a person made of diamond. The only problem is, I don't want it to be Jozu. That's when I remembered that the Blackbeard pirates are hunting down powerful devil fruit users in order to gain their abilities, and it hit me, if they were to take down Jozu and steal his DF, then Shiliew would become a diamond man. If you add that to the fact that he is already very powerful, now he is capable of going toe-to-toe with Mihawk and defeating him. We've already seen Dash Bones make the statement, "What are you going to cut next? Diamond?" But a battle between Zoro and Jozu is not only stupid, but it will never happen considering Luffy's relationship with the Whitebeard pirates. But a battle between Zoro and Diamond, Shiliew would be epic, especially if you build it up with the death of Mihawk at Shiliew's hands. Yeah, and that, folks, is exactly why I believe Zoro's last opponent is going to be Shiliew, and there is a small chance it could be Mihawk. Ever since Kinemon showed us his ability to use fire in his swords, Many believe that Zoro will be able to use an element and Mihawk already can. But I actually think they'll be able to cut with all elements, excluding Brooks. Here's why. In the manga stream translation, most reliable, it says Mihawk is the world's unrivaled swordmaster, which makes me think. Not only is he unrivaled in swordsmanship, but he can use all elements to do with swords. And why? Because he is the swordmaster. And a master is someone who has acquired/attained complete knowledge or skill in an accomplishment and art technique. So if there is a skill in swordsmanship such as using fire, I believe Mihawk has this ability. And this will also explain how he could be the strongest royal warlord because of all these abilities/techniques. Since prior to this sword style being introduced, many of us believed he already was the strongest, and now there can be more claim to our assumption. And being that Zoro will eventually surpass him, he may also be able to do this, and perhaps to a much derived scale. Has anyone realized the resemblance between Zoro and Rayleigh? The way that Rayleigh joined Roger. Roger just came up to him saying, "You look like a strong guy, join me." Roger made the decision on his own. This is the same way Luffy got Zoro to join. Also the fact that both of them have a scar above their eye, Zoro on the left and Rayleigh on the right. I feel like Zoro will follow the legend of Rayleigh when Luffy becomes the Pirate King. Also the fact that both use a sword, even though Zoro uses 3 swords. Even little things like how they can swim and hold their breath for so long, indicates that Zoro and Rayleigh are the same as Goldie Roger. Which we could say that Rayleigh was the former best swordsman. This foreshadows that Zoro will become the best swordsman. So I was sitting here thinking about who will be the final villains in One Piece. And the fact of the matter is we all in a way are leaning toward the Blackbeard pirates. So if that were to be the case, Zoro's final fight will be with Shiliew of the Rain. Meaning he would have to have defeated Mihawk already by then. Which doesn't make sense to me since Mihawk is supposed to be Zoro's last stop to the top. I also find it weird now that Zoro has trained under Mihawk, and in a way I think of Mihawk as almost his master. They have a bond now that I don't think will allow them to fight to the death. That's where my theory comes into play. We know that the Blackbeard is devil fruit hunting and is looking for the most powerful of devil fruits. So I believe that Blackbeard pirates are going to go after many of the old Whitebeard pirates' devil fruit, killing many of them. And in doing so Shiliew will end up with Diamond, Jozo devil fruit. After this, and the government noticing just how even more powerful the Blackbeard pirates have become, they will send some of the Shichibukai to try and stop them. And in that case they send Mihawk, who will fall in battle to Shiliew and his diamond ability along with help from other BB crew members. He will also take Sakaiseki no Kenshi as his prize along with title of strongest swordsman. Once Zoro finds out that Mihawk is dead and Shiliew has Sakaiseki no Kenshi, it will set up for an amazing last battle. It is all the building to be the most epic sword battle. Zoro fulfilling his goal of becoming the greatest swordsman along with getting revenge for his fallen master Mihawk and recovering Sakaiseki no Kenshi. He will also have finally cut through Diamond like it has been foreshadowed for a while now. Just a theory of mine, tell me what you all think about it. Thanks. That is all. Be sure to rate, comment and subscribe. Have a